So all 5 of the Canadian major banks, RBC, TD, BMO, CIBC, and Scotia, are in the top 25 globally on AI maturity. So that puts Canada well ahead of most countries in the financial AI adoption. Like, we're way ahead. More than 56% of Canadian business leaders plan to increase their AI investments in 2025, according to IBM. So that's a clear signal of where things are heading. What people are estimating is AI could contribute $230 billion to Canada's economy, thanks to productivity and innovation. And that's by Google. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Advisor Tech Talks. This is the podcast where we unpack the latest tech trends shaping the future of Canada's finance and financial advisors. So I'm your host, and in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how Canada's biggest banks are leaning hard into AI and what that means for you. Now, I know it's a buzzword. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but I've recently been at a number of conferences and I've started seeing a trend with a couple of the banks in particular. And I think advisors just have to be prepared. So this is one of those episodes where there's a bit of writing on the wall. RBC, BMO, and the rest of the big 5 are not just experimenting with AI, they're making it core to their strategy. And so if you're still on the sidelines, you got to at least put one foot on the court or on the field. So looking forward to this episode. It's not doom and gloom. It's just kind of FYI and what I think people should do. And I'll see you in there. Okay, so I mentioned a couple of the banks in today's episode. I'm going to talk predominantly about RBC and BMO. They're the ones hitting the news lately. They're the ones I'm seeing at these conferences. And so I think they're most relevant. And we'll start with RBC. So as all of you probably know, RBC has a massive wealth division. They're also just a massive bank. I mean, there's all kinds of metrics you can look at, but across most of them, RBC is the big kahuna in Canada. And for those that don't know, it stands for Royal Bank of Canada. So they've been investing in AI for almost a decade now. They were kind of one of the first movers, and they're definitely not slowing down. They're speeding up. Just some quick stats to set the stage with RBC. They're ranked number 3 globally in AI maturity across banks. So that's according to a bunch of indexes, predominantly Evident AI. Basically, it measures how deeply AI is embedded into an institution's strategy. So you can see where they're thinking and how they're thinking. They've also set a goal to generate 1 billion Canadian from their AI investments by 2027. So that doesn't mean just like revenue. It could also mean cost savings, growth, operational efficiencies, I guess you could say. So that kind of sets the stage for, okay, they're serious about it. $1 billion is a lot. They've been doing it for a decade. The world knows they're doing it. So other banks are talking to them and they're clearly listening. So what are they doing? That's probably relevant. They've got a bunch of projects on the go, but I think what are relevant to you guys, I'll just mention. So they have one called Borealis AI. It's their internal AI research lab, and they launched it almost a decade ago. And they're just looking at trends, looking at new things. They've hired a bunch of computer scientists and AI engineers, and they're trying things. Predominantly, their models have revolved around fraud detection, credit risk, stuff like that. But you could see like their the fact that they have a lab is a really big piece. They also have Lumina. So this will be on the consumer side. You'll start seeing it. It's a platform used to build and scale inside of RBC, but it supports services like online banking, product recommendations, fraud alert, stuff like that. So if you are an RBC client, you'll start seeing things in your app, etc. Now they've jumped into generative AI. So they partnered with CaHIR, which this is a generative AI platform that they co-developed. And it's built specifically for banking and is designed to keep sensitive data secure. And so the general ethos with RBC is they're pumping a lot of time and money and effort into it. They're focusing on their wealth platform. And what they're really focusing on is conversations that you can have with their app or with their wealth platform to get questions answered. You guys probably notice, and if you're not using ChatGPT, I've had other episodes on it, you should be. It's becoming much more conversational. I personally find myself talking to GPT 5 times a day. I ask it questions. It actually responds in natural language. So now I'm talking to basically an AI or a robot or whatever, but it's giving me valuable insights. And that's where these banks are trying to go. You as a client can go into their services, communicate with them and their infrastructure of data without actually talking to a human. And we'll get to the point where it starts getting stuff done for you. And so the fact that they're pumping so much time, money, and effort into this means they're serious about it. And so we just got to watch. I think BMO is actually a really interesting example as well. So a BMO, Bank of Montreal, not as large a bank, but they are making a lot of waves in the AI shift right now. They recently they did a bit of a shuffle, like a chief AI and data officer, and that's really started moving some of these initiatives forward. So, for example, and just to give some cred on this person used to be at EY. The name is Kristen, and she has a PhD from Oxford. So, like, she's pretty smart and she's got some experience. And so they've really started pushing. But what they're really focused on is AI agents, which is what I was talking about. I actually saw one that they brought out on the insurance side at a conference the other day. And basically what this bot does is they've trained it in collaboration with Microsoft on all the data that they have in BMO, whether that be help articles, anonymized accounts of customers, etc. And so now you can talk to this AI agent as an advisor with a client in the room or as a client. And so this is on the BMO insurance side. And basically this agent will give you relevant information. And so it's kind of like a chatbot, but it's much better because it's actually trained on relevant information inside of BMO. And so I found that really interesting. And I was talking to their team, and it's something that's getting like double-digit usage growth every month. And so clearly people want to get questions answered faster, more in a natural language. And so this is really what they're focused on. So they've been focused on rolling out autonomous agents to handle tasks like onboarding with the clients, document processing, client service, which is what I was just talking about. They're not replacing people, but they're helping staff operate. So they have a lot of internal tools they're doing. The one I was talking about is actually external. Like, you could use it if you have BMO insurance. They're actually doing a number of things as well where they just want faster decision-making, better portfolio simulations for their clients, deeper insights into customer behavior. And so they're really investing in quantum computing and putting that into their data infrastructure. So basically what that means for you guys is BMO is trying to make their advisors faster and smarter. And so, I mean, whether it be RBC, who is pumping a ton into operations and less client-facing, at least on the insurance and wealth side, or BMO with more agents and better decision-making internally, you can see the trend, right? And so these guys see that they can throw fuel on the fire for their internal operations. And they're all investing in the generative AI and conversational AI, where you can actually communicate with a bot or an AI agent. And BMO is quickly moving up. They're 24th globally on the AI maturity index of all banks globally. They're way behind RBC. RBC is third, but they're actively climbing. And I think they're one that's really dipping their foot into the wealth world. Well, they're already in there, but they're really pushing, I should say. I've seen them at every conference. They're heavily pushing. They're heavily talking about their AI. And so they've kind of got this attitude right now of the younger generation say, send it. They're just really going for it, which is good. I think there needs to be innovation in AI in Canada, and the banks have like the most money in Canada. So, I mean, let's zoom out and add some numbers to this, right? So all 5 of the Canadian major banks, RBC, TD, BMO, CIBC, and Scotia, are in the top 25 globally on AI maturity. So that puts Canada well ahead of most countries in the financial AI adoption. Like, we're way ahead. More than 56% of Canadian business leaders plan to increase their AI investments in 2025, according to IBM. So that's a clear signal of where things are heading. And I mean, what people are estimating is AI could contribute $230 billion to Canada's economy, thanks to productivity and innovation. And that's by Google. And so if you think about all that, we're ahead of the game. These banks are investing more and more, and they see ROI, whether it be from internal operations or from actual new sales. I mean, the writing's on the wall there. And so what does this mean for you guys? Like, how can we take this information and use it, right? So if the banks are doing this, what are you doing? I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Because if your clients are being conditioned by this kind of experience with the banks, they're getting hyper personalized insights from their banks, they're going to start expecting this from you. And so, I mean, obviously you can't keep up with the investment of these banks. I'm not vouching for that here, but here are a few of the practical steps I think you need to take right now, because I thought this was a timely episode just because I'm seeing it at all these conferences all the time. So planning tools, get into something like Conquest or Planworth. All of these guys are also investing, and that's a great way to keep up with some of these investments when it comes to forecasting out plans. Conquest actually has a tool called their Strategic Advice Manager, and it allows you to model out different portfolios or projections for your clients, which I think is a great first step to show your clients that you're moving in this direction. You should also, as I've talked about in a number of my meetings, start doing meeting automation, like Otter or Firefly or Fathom. I think I've shown these to take notes, extract follow-ups, and automatically log CRM activity. Like when you think of the banks and all these big numbers on automation and internal productivity gains, this is a massive one for you. If you could make yourself 20 or 30% more productive because you're not taking notes and you're not noting it down and it's going automatically into your CRM, that's exactly what the banks are talking about. It's just bigger numbers. So you have to get into this. Clients are starting to expect full attention from you and quicker meetings, honestly. If you don't have to sit there and be like, oh, okay, I gotta write this down. Hold on, give me 2 minutes. Okay. Well, if you could just focus on the meeting, ask the proper questions, it extracts it for you. That's hugely powerful. I mean, I talk about it a lot. I'm a little biased, but like CRM optimization, if it's not clean, AI can't help, right? And so get your data right, get your contacts in there properly, policies, etc. That's the foundation of this type of stuff. And then the last one I would say is start dabbling with chatbots and virtual assistants. Even basic chatbot tech on your websites or in client portals can make you look modern and responsive without much lift. And there's a lot out there. You can check out Jason Pereira's page. He's pretty well known in Canada. He's got some AI chatbots that he recommends. The idea of this episode is the banks are moving quicker than I expected. And so you have to move quicker than you expect. Now, there are small moves you can make to catch up or at least get on the racetrack per se, like the meeting automation, like the chatbots, like optimizing your CRM and things like that, right? So get in there, start using that. I mean, here's the Canada's biggest institutions are investing billions in AI. That's the new standard. Get used to it. The good news is you don't need billions. And a lot of these tools that I just mentioned are like $20 to $50 a month, right? And so at the end of the day, you can afford this. A mindset shift and some small shifts in technology will go a long way. Think of AI as an assistant, not a replacement, right? It can help you serve more clients faster and more intelligently if you lean into it now. So if there's anything to take away from this, just start getting into this stuff. If you're not, you're falling drastically behind based on what I'm seeing. So, as always, thank you for tuning into this episode of Advisor Tech Talks. If you're already using AI in your practice or you want help figuring out where to start, feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with one of you, a real advisor, and get you in future episodes. Until next time.